So, what if the most powerful technology ever created wasn't built for profit, but for, well, enlightenment? That's the crazy idea at the heart of Sebastian Mallaby's The Infinity Machine, and today we're breaking it all down. This is the incredible story of Demis Hassabis and his company DeepMind and their quest to build artificial superintelligence. But trust me, this is not just a tech story. It's about the mind of a creator and this world-changing machine he believes can unlock the deepest secrets of the universe.
The book kicks off with this really haunting line from Geoffrey Hinton, one of the godfathers of AI, and it just perfectly frames the central dilemma here. It's almost a direct echo of J. Robert Oppenheimer, right? The guy who justified creating the atomic bomb by saying the physics was technically sweet, the thrill of discovery was just too powerful to resist. And right away, that quote tells you this story is as much about moral responsibility as it is about algorithms.
And that leads us to the big question the book tries to answer. Why do it? I mean, why build something that even the people making it admit could lead to terrifying weapons or even be the last event in human history? The book argues that to really understand this AI revolution, you first have to understand the people who are actually driving it. Okay, so here's our game plan. We're going to unpack the book's core ideas into 3 key takeaways. First, we'll look at the unique psychology of DeepMind's founder. Second, we'll get into the technology that really changed everything. And third, we'll talk about the profound, almost spiritual goal behind this whole project. And then, at the end, we'll help you decide if this book is your next big read. All right, our first takeaway. This isn't really about the tech, it's about the man. The book paints this portrait of Demis Hassabis that is absolutely essential to understanding what DeepMind is all about. To get the what, you really have to start with the why.
The book draws this really clear line in the sand between Hassabis and your typical Silicon Valley CEO. On one side, you've got the usual suspects: profit, market share, the next hot app. But on the other side, as you see here, is a totally different kind of prize: enlightenment. He's presented as this kind of missionary, totally driven to understand reality itself. And you can imagine, early investors were skeptical. They basically told him enlightenment is not a business model.
And this is where Mallaby introduces this awesome idea he calls the Ender's Game mindset. See, Hassabis saw himself in the main character of that sci-fi novel, this young genius who has the weight of saving humanity on his shoulders. His own co-founder put it this way: there is not even a 99% mode in Demis, there is only 100%. It's that all-in, all-consuming drive that really powers DeepMind.
So that's the mindset. Now let's move on to our second takeaway and see what this mindset actually builds. What exactly is this infinity machine that Hassabis is so obsessed with creating? This is where the whole game changes for AI.
The book explains this super important difference. You see, old AI was all about deduction. Humans would sit there and painstakingly write out rigid rules, kind of like programming a chess computer by telling it exactly what every piece is worth. But that approach is really brittle. It's just inflexibility piled on top of inflexibility. The big breakthrough, the infinity machine, is all about induction. Instead of being given the rules, the AI is just given a ton of data and learns the patterns for itself. It's not following a recipe, it's literally inventing the dish. And the power of this new way of thinking? Well, it's just staggering, as you can see on this timeline. First, DeepMind's AI taught itself how to master old Atari games just by looking at the pixels on the screen. Then it graduated to the ancient game of Go, where AlphaGo beat the world's greatest player with moves that felt creative, almost alien. And then the big one. In 2020, AlphaFold solved the 50-year-old grand challenge of protein folding, a breakthrough so massive it helped land Hassabis a Nobel Prize. Okay, and that brings us to our final takeaway. We've seen the why, the mindset, and the what, the machine. But what about the so what? What is the ultimate point of building a machine this powerful? This is where the book gets really, really deep. It turns out the end goal isn't just about solving problems. It's a kind of spiritual quest. Hassabis has this feeling that reality is staring at me, screaming at me, trying to tell me something. And he believes AI is the ultimate tool to finally understand that mystery, to, as he puts it, read the mind of God. And the book makes it crystal clear that this quest has 2 very, very different sides. On one hand, you have the promise, which is this utopian dream, an AI that's a meta solution, able to solve everything from disease to climate change. But on the other hand, the peril is existential. That same power could become uncontrollable, catastrophic. It's the ultimate high-risk, high-reward bet in human history. So, with all of that in mind, the big question is, Should you read The Infinity Machine? Let's break down who this book is really for.
All right, here's the bottom line. You are absolutely going to love this book if you're fascinated by the psychology of a founder with that Ender's Game mindset, and if you enjoy a good high-stakes, character-driven science story. It's really a deep dive into the philosophy of AI. But you might want to skip it if you're looking for a dry technical textbook on algorithms or if you want a broad overview of the entire industry. This is a focused, deep, and honestly and often unsettling exploration, not a simple summary. The book leaves you with this one final powerful question. An infinity machine isn't just about crunching data, it's about sifting through nearly endless possibilities to find hidden patterns. And Hassabis wants to point this machine at the entire universe to find the ultimate pattern, the source code of reality itself. So yeah, we are building it, but are we as a species ready for what it might find? That's the thought the infinity machine leaves you to chew on.